Excellent. Thank you very much. So hello everyone. Thank you for joining. So we've got an hour's slot. So I'll talk for probably about sort of 40 minutes or so. So leave time for questions and discussion at the end. So please do send through any questions you have. I'll look to answer them the best that I can. We've got some. So there's a collection of things in here. So there's a bunch of insights based on client feedback, clients we work with, also lots of prospects who we speak to, and what we've seen in the market in the time we've been in it. We got a fantastic client case study from one of our partners who really sort of demonstrates how actually entwining employee productivity and customer experience can deliver an amazing experience. So take you through that, and also there's a video as well at the end. So for now, in terms of me, so I've got a whole bunch of experience within digital data marketing and retail. A lot of experience within retail, and again, seeing that challenge around sort of employee productivity and customer experience in lots of different businesses. I joined Speakap about a year and a half ago to launch the UK and Irish business. Speakap's been around for a lot longer than that though, so about 10 years in a number of different guises. And through Speakap, it's a global business. I've got offices throughout the world, so UK, US, headquarters in Amsterdam. We've got Spain, Belgium, Germany, and Colombia. And with that, we translate into 25 different languages. And we work with sort of a whole range of clients, some really small ones, sort of 10 people in a business in one market, to tens of thousands of people, in other markets, and globally. So in terms of Speakap, so Speakap came about from an idea from our founders, Erwin and Patrick, who were at university in Amsterdam. They worked at the Plus supermarket, so this is a supermarket they worked at here. So worked as shift managers to help top up their university fees, and they saw the challenge that existed in terms of getting communication from head office through to the store, and then how difficult it was actually getting that communication through the store to people who are on different shift patterns. They're on in the store at different times. So all of the traditional ways, which most of these still exist now, getting that information through, when it would come, in those days it came as a printed pack of paper once a week, and then through that they'd have to then get that onto the bulletin boards. There'd be new phone lists coming through each day to top that up, text and fax on top of that with different bits of information, and then trying to deliver that in terms of daily stand-ups to frontline employees, which was really difficult, and actually led to a challenge in terms of engagement, led to a challenge in terms of employee productivity, and on the back of that, led to a massive challenge in terms of that customer experience. So again, seeing this firsthand and being enterprising young guys, they set about solving that problem, which was the start of the Speakap journey, which started as a supermarket solution, and then very quickly moved into a solution which works across any organization. And interestingly now, within that 350 different organizations we work with, it ranges from more traditional desk-based organizations who are looking for a better solution than email to share information internally, through the large majority being organizations with lots of frontline employees, be that retail, leisure, entertainment, hospitality, but also healthcare, social care, logistics, warehousing, to name a few. So again, all with that same challenge. So this is what Speakap looks like. So it's a employee communication platform for all devices. So again, it works on web and mobile web. So if you're at a desk, if you're an administrator, you can manage it all through your desktop computer. But again, 90% of the activity comes through the apps, which are available to download in the Apple Store and the Android Play Store. So again, the whole purpose of it is, again, how to solve that problem that Erwin and Patrick spotted the supermarket, which is how to send targeted and relevant company information, communication to the right employee at the right time. So that was a problem they set out to solve, and they've done a pretty amazing job of doing that. So today he's going to look at three things. One is actually how you can leverage technology to improve employee productivity and customer satisfaction. Because again, as I'll look to prove to you, the two are intrinsically linked. If you don't have engaged and productive employees, it's a real challenge to get customer satisfaction, whichever sector you exist in, be that retail, leisure, hospitality, entertainment, wherever. The second part is looking at the critical elements to creating a positive work culture, because again, positive work culture goes hand in hand with getting engaged employees and productive employees. And the third final part is looking at client case study. So we look at actually one of the organizations we work with who've done an amazing job of aligning, again, employee productivity and customer satisfaction. So that's the plan. So first part is looking at that that how to leverage technology to deliver. And here's the challenge. So at the moment, if you look in terms of as an organisation looking to hire people, getting good people is really difficult. And one of the reasons for this is the economy is in pretty good shape, notwithstanding some sort of different challenges here and there. But there's low unemployment. In the UK, unemployment at the moment is 3.9%. Across the EU, it's 6.3%. So there are lots of jobs out there for lots of people. So therefore, it's always going to be a challenge in a seller's market to get the best people. The second part is competition, and we hear this from every organisation we work with, in whichever sector they're in. Previously it used to be if you were in retail, you were worried about losing your best people to retail. Or if you're in healthcare, you're losing the best people to healthcare. But if we're looking at those especially those organisations which have a lot of frontline people, and those frontline people are on lower salaries, a lot of them are on 0-hour contracts, minimum wage. So with that, there are a lot of options where they can go and work. So we met with one of our clients recently as a social care provider. And again, they were saying their biggest challenge is the people they've got, which are, I think they've got about 2,000 employees. Within the areas that they're in, they could easily go and pick up a job working for a fast food company, or they can go and work in a warehouse, or they can go and work for a healthcare provider. So again, the challenge isn't losing to your direct competitor, it's losing to anyone else who is offering something better than you are doing, above and beyond the salary, above and beyond the guaranteed hours. And this leads to a massive problem, because if you've got a high turnover rate, it's incredibly difficult to run your business, both in terms of optimizing the business as it is, but in terms of growing it and delivering a great customer experience. So you've got a challenge there in terms of how to get people. You've also got a massive change in society. So if you think now from in terms of consumers now are used to having enterprise grade quality apps to communicate with. So if they're communicating with their friends and family, there's Facebook, there's WhatsApp, you've got Instagram, to name but a few. So with that means they've got a amazing two-way communication channel with friends and family. If they want to go and talk to a politician, or they want to communicate with a business about an experience they had, or it could be a celebrity or a pop star, again, they've got Twitter, and they can get a direct two-way conversation between with individuals and organizations. So they're used to having this in their social lives, and that's what they expect in their work lives. At the same time, all of these social channels provide a sense of belonging, and that sense of belonging, again, may be questionable if you've got 500 followers that you've never met, what that sense of belonging can provide, but certainly from a digital perspective, it provides a sense of belonging, which people then expect to have within the workplace. Add to that, they're using channels which they're getting instant feedback on their contribution. So again, the power of the like. Incredibly powerful, in terms of people posting and getting an immediate response. And again, they expect that then within the workplace. So you've got a very different place now in terms of how you need to attract and how you need to keep people in the business. than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago in terms of how things have grown. This becomes an even bigger challenge when you look at frontline employees. So if you have an organization, which again could be retail, leisure, hospitality, entertainment, could also be, again, a logistics business to an extent, security business. We work with G4S who have this challenge. So if you have frontline employees who are one of your biggest costs, then actually, if you don't look after them in the right way, they will remain one of your biggest costs. Whereas actually, if you get it right, you can turn your biggest cost into your biggest asset, because these are the people who are interacting with your customers most frequently. But then at the same time, they're often less included than their office counterparts, and they've got less access to information. They don't tend to have a corporate computer or a phone or an email. So you've got a real challenge, which is how do you get that messaging to the right people at the right time, and doing it in a way that mirrors how they operate within their social lives. So again, this whole consumerization of the workforce is a massive thing where people have access to certain apps and tools and ways of working in their social life. They expect that in their work life. And if you don't provide it, they'll employ shadow tech to do it. And again, when we look into this a little bit more, again, your frontline workers directly affect your bottom line in terms of business results. So if you have disengaged employees, they're not particularly motivated, they're not part of the company mission, they're not going that extra yard to deliver a great job. If you've got high turnover, which, as I said before, no sector is safe from this. So it isn't a case of now you're losing your best people to your best competitors. You could be losing to any business, depending on that, on the role and the level they are in the company. Again, constant onboarding, training, bringing people on, leads to massive decrease in productivity. Again, we work with organisations who, again, sort of claim to have 100% churn in a year in terms of employees coming in and out. So obviously that's an extreme, but actually it used to be the norm that actually churn was sort of in its sort of single digits to sort of 10-15%, whereas actually now a lot of the organisations we work with are looking at sort of 40-50% churn in a year. So it's a massive impact on the business, not only internally but also externally, because if those people aren't engaged, if they're not that knowledgeable, if they've not been given the right information, actually they tend to deliver a poor customer experience, a lot of the time through no fault of their own, just because they haven't got what they need to do a great job. And this will impact on your business, be it through repeat visits, loyalty, depending on what the metric is for the business that you're in. But again, if you've got low engagement with your employees, frontline employees especially, this will lead to low productivity, which will lead to a poor customer experience. So, as I said, if you're not providing tools for your employees to use, they will find ways of doing it, which you can't manage, you can't monitor, you can't keep private and secure. So communication professionals now must use emerging technologies to support a two-way structured dialogue at all levels. And again, this is important. It isn't about one way anymore. It's not telling everyone the same thing. It's about doing it, which is provides a two-way channel and does it in a structured way, so you can get the right message to the right people at the right time. Because otherwise, it will be information overload, and that's as bad as too much information is as bad as too little information. In terms of the next part, so looking at the importance of a positive work culture. So we've done a lot of research into this. Our latest study we did is looking at the culture factor, and again, it was trying to understand the elements which impact on the perception of culture in an organisation, and with that, how companies communicate culture and change, And then the impact of culture on employee satisfaction, workplace relationships and loyalty. We did research with 1,000 people across the US and the UK, and it's across a range of industries. So pretty robust data. And the findings were quite startling. So found 74% of people who reported back felt that culture was important, whereas actually only 40% reported having a positive work culture. So again, you've got a huge number of people who are reporting it as important, but actually a very low number in relation actually having a positive work culture. Next part, again, just to start, 58% were willing to take a job at a competing company in exchange for a better company culture. So again, it just shows people don't come to work just for the paycheck, or to get the job done. They come to be part of a culture, something bigger than them, something that they can buy into and they can be a part of. The next one is even more startling. 48% were willing to work a 60-hour week in exchange for a better culture, which when you consider in the UK, an average full-time week is 39 hours. So again, people will be willing to work 40% longer, again, in exchange for a better culture. 90% would feel more connected with a company if invited to join the employee communications app or be communicated with before their first day. Again, it's not a blatant plug. There are lots of apps out there, and there are lots of different ways that you can communicate with employees. But again, it shows the importance of getting to people before they start, making them feel that pre-boarding and onboarding stage is critical. We hear it from all of the organizations we work with, on how, again, being able to bridge that gap between someone interviewing for a role, being given the role, signing their contracts. There's always a period of time before they start. So that sort of pre-boarding, onboarding stage is critical for ensuring that people turn up, because a lot of people don't. They'll find a different job. For actually getting them locked in and making them feel part of the business before they start is really key. And then beyond this, the other things that came out were, respect and fairness were cited as the most important attributes of a strong culture. So again, really important. Respect, people feeling that, they get treated fairly, they're shown respect in what they do. So these are sort of hygiene factors that underpin this as well. And then interestingly, from another piece we did earlier this year, looking at the the different generations within the workforce. And it was on the back of feedback we'd get from clients and prospects who are trying to juggle how they communicate with an older workforce versus a younger workforce that's coming through, where the two need to be managed in a different way. Be that in terms of how you communicate, not so much what you say, but how you say it and in which channel. And it's especially true when you look here. Again, 68% of the workforce here, is millennial or Gen Z. So again, almost two-thirds of the workforce, were born, mid-1980s. So or up to the mid-2000s. So again, the scale's tipping very rapidly to needing to communicate, in a different way. Again, at the same time, without alienating the Gen X and the baby boomers. And the piece that's underpinning this is the mobile side. So companies must evolve with your employees. So if all of your employees are glued to their smartphone and social channels, or at least a large majority, the stats we found were 62% of Western Europeans own a smartphone. In the UK, that's 78%. When you look at it in terms of 18 to 49, it's 94%. So 94% of your 18 to 49 workforce has a smartphone. This is what they're glued to in their social lives, as I touched on earlier. They're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're on WhatsApp. So they're used to communicating a different way out of work. They're not going and looking at a bulletin board to get information. They're not reading the newspaper in the same way that it was being read. They're not getting the same volume of mail through the door anymore. they're not watching TV as much because they're watching YouTube. Everything is on demand. You know, they're accessing things on their terms and in their time when they choose to. And again, this is what they need to be getting within the workplace. Yeah, it needs to be mobile first. It needs to be bite-sized in terms of how it's communicated, and it needs to be in a social context. Yeah, when you consider there was 194 billion app downloads in 2018, yeah, and over half the website traffic worldwide was generated by mobile, there's never a more important time to address that than now. And this is where Speakap, again, has focused all of its efforts and attention. This is all we do. Yeah, we're 100% focused on evolving Speakap communication platform into being the best communication tool in the market. And again, we help 350 organizations, some of them are huge, trusted international brands, to, again, reach and engage with their entire workforce and doing it in a relevant and accessible way. Yeah, be that Nike wholesale across Europe, be that VSAG, across the huge logistics and warehousing company across Germany, G4S across Benelux, Domino's in the UK, IKEA across the Netherlands, G-Star, Bosch, Rituals, again, worldwide, and the Phoenix Group. So again, all types of different organizations, but all with that same challenge, which is how do you reach and engage with your workforce in a timely and relevant way that's, that isn't just a one-way push. So now I'm going to look at Rituals, because Rituals, for me, we have all these other different organizations we work with, but Rituals really stands out as an organization, again, which is focused on, again, optimizing that employee engagement and productivity piece to deliver an amazing customer service. So for those who aren't familiar with Rituals, they came about in Amsterdam about 20 years ago. They've gone from one store in Amsterdam to now about 625 owned stores in 27 different countries, with another nearly 2,000 shop-in-shops. So these could be urban spas, cruise liners, airlines, luxury hotel chains. So they've got over 5,000 employees. So with that, they've got a massive challenge, which is how do you communicate with all of those different employees, different locations, different languages, but all with the same needs. And that need is driven by the founder, Raymond Klusterman, who founded the Rituals business on the principle that they're not here to sell products, although they have amazing products. They've got amazing products and a constant changing lineup of products as well. But for him, it isn't about selling beauty products, it's about making you feel good. It's about making a ritual of that everyday process of washing your hands, or washing your face, or putting moisturizer on, or doing those simple routines each day, but turning it into this amazing ritual. So that is a huge vision. To deliver that, you need to have your employees who are engaged and who are productive. And again, as you see here, so for Irene Verney, who's a HR director, states how critical it is for the employees to be living the brand. And in order to do that, to have a platform to celebrate each other's achievements. So they needed a platform that not only could they do the business critical needs of sending product information, updating on new releases, training videos, business updates, and all of that essential stuff, but also how they could actually celebrate success. And that could be within one store, it could be across a region, it could be across the whole business. So again, how to do that in a way which, again, drives engagement and productivity and doesn't overload people. We presented with Penny, who's the MD for the UK and Ireland, back in November. And again, she did an amazing presentation, but this quote really stood out, which is, again, for her, it's not about winning in market because you've got the best brand, or you've got the best product, or you've got the best stores. It's about winning with the workforce. Because if you actually win with the employees, when you get those people on board, engaged and motivated and productive, that's how you then win with the end customer. So this was their challenge. How do they deliver on the promise for their employees, who they call the heartbeats? And again, this is really stands out. They're the heartbeat of the business. So when they consider those people being central to the brand, and with new stores opening every week in different locations and different languages, how can you scale that employee experience? How can you inspire, inform, educate, and incentivize employees to be the best they can be? So massive challenge, and they came to Speakap. And the reason being, because they wanted to provide instant and consistent communication between store and office staff. Again, by mirroring the rituals hierarchy within Speakap, or we.CONECT as their white label version is called, then they're able to send the relevant messaging to the right people at the right time in the right locations. So again, people not being overloaded with information. And they wanted a one-stop shop for all employees. So they wanted something that could work now from a communication perspective, but in the future, as they bring on more employee apps, they can integrate that into one place. So there's nothing worse from an employee if they've got to go to 5 different places to get different information, different passwords, different logins. It doesn't work. So one-stop shop is critical. And they wanted a true alternative to text and messaging apps. Again, people using WhatsApp, they're using iMessage. These are enterprise-grade quality tools that people are using, and they needed something that could mirror that. Because otherwise, employees switch on your work app, and if it doesn't stand up to the quality that people see within their social lives, then they'll soon switch off. Then they wanted a solution that could grow the business. So again, as they're opening up new stores, bringing on new employees, launching new regions, they wanted to be able to link into their central HR directory so it would automatically update. Otherwise, it's too big a manual process for someone. It'd be a full-time job for an army of people to be constantly updating new people as they change, as they move, as they leave, as they get promoted. So they wanted to be able to do it automatically through their HR information system. And they wanted a branded experience. They didn't want a third-party app. They wanted to dress it so it looked like theirs. So provide a white label app for them, download it in the Apple and Android stores, have a desktop version, and be able to match the brand. And when their brand changes, they wanted to easily update it. So they could change out the backgrounds, they could change the imagery, they could control it themselves without going to a creative agency to do it. They wanted easy deployment, because again, they're opening up new stores all the time. So they wanted a standard method of implementation. So every time they could ensure that they got 100% success in terms of sign up and utilization. And then finally, they wanted it to be able to evolve with changing regulation. So they're required to meet Works Council approval for hourly workers in Germany. And they've got different rules coming in the US. There's different rules coming through in France, and I'm sure there will be across the whole of the EU soon, in terms of not being able to send messaging to people who aren't at work. And this is particularly important if you're in a global business and you might have a message going out from Amsterdam, which is then hitting the US 7 hours later. Sorry, when people are waking, but if they've got their phone on, they're getting it 7 hours before they wake up. So with do not disturb functionality, we can then limit communication to scheduled hours. We can include custom terms and conditions to comply with the laws, and we can ensure that it's fully legitimate. So that's how we went about solving their challenges. This is then how we can work in terms of future-proofing. So we built Speakap on an advanced open API. We can then set up the developers for Rituals, or indeed any clients, with their own part of the platform. They're able to then integrate their own apps and solutions into Speakap. And again, we do this. We also have a bunch of stuff that's off the shelf that you can integrate. But this means if you've got your own tools that you've created, you can then incorporate them as well, even if they sit outside the top 50 apps within the stores. And then this just shows you how the structure works. So this is how our enterprise structure works, which means we can place people into the relevant part of the organization. So for Ritual's head office in the Netherlands, if they just want to talk to a store in Amsterdam, they can easily go to all the people in that store. Or if they want to just go to a store manager in a location in London, they can easily just do that. Or if they want to go to store manager across all stores, all locations, they can do that. Or indeed, if you want to just go to a group and just message those people in that group. So this means each of these lines are infinite. So you can have infinite numbers of stores and locations. You can have infinite number of teams. You can have infinite number of groups. But our advice always is for the organization to manage this. So therefore, you're delivering a structured social platform where you're inviting people into the relevant part. They can request to join another part if it's publicly available, but it's controlled, because that way you can then ensure utilization, you can control the experience, and you can ensure that you don't end up with millions of groups with nothing happening in them, or places where people don't exist anymore. So again, it's keeping that relevance piece in place. And for Rituals, again, for them, it's been a huge success. Again, they love the fact that they've got a seamless two-way communication between head office and the floor staff. They can share updates, product information, tips and tricks, as well as those key results and sales incentives. There's also a lot of fun that they have on there as well. So they'll celebrate people's birthdays locally, or anniversaries, or success. But again, that's where it's on a local basis, because that's what's relevant to that local area. They also share across the sort of the management team people who've done the highest sales, showing the 2 meter long till receipts of sales which have happened that day. So again, it's a great way for both downward sort of praise and recognition, but also upward sort of praise and recognition for people who've done a great job. And it's borne out by the stats. So again, Rituals allow that all employees to have their phones on the shop floor until lunchtime, and then managers can have them all day. So they see about 8.5 logins per day. On average across all clients and all networks, it's about 4. So they get twice as much access, because people know when they go in, they're going to get the most relevant information for what they need. They're not being overloaded with information that's not relevant to them, so they can be in and out. The average session is about 35 seconds. They can quickly post, update, share learnings, and then get back to doing their job. So again, it's quick and easy. And again, if the phones are on the shop floor, they can also access it through the desktop as well. So looking at time, so I'll play a quick video now just to bring it to life. So just go through.
Rituals is all about enjoying the small moments in life. That's important for our customers, so therefore it's also important for our staff members who are working with our customers every day. Therefore, we need people who are passionate about that vision and about our brand. With over 500 stores and 1,000 shop-in-shops, that becomes more of a challenge. So we need to share a bit more information between our stores about our learnings, about every single detail, how we can excite our customers. Speakap has helped us to share these learnings and to give us more insights between our store teams and our office staff, and therefore we chose Speakap as our main communication tool.
Well, Speakap is able to connect us, so even if we have several miles ahead of us or a bridge within New York City, within Brooklyn, we're able to share best practices, which is really crucial to our business. Also, having a complete entire ocean in between us and our central counterparts in Amsterdam, being able to reach out to them immediately, even though we have a 6-hour time difference, is really crucial to enhancing our overall business.
Speakap is a great way to get up-to-date information about new products, services, company developments. I can get tips from my fellow colleagues and ensure that all my customers are happy.
What Speakap did change was that the information flow is going much faster, and it's much more concrete because it's in your face. It's about speed, it's about completeness of information, but it's also a fun tool. So it excites not only our staff members, but in the end, with all that information, it will also excite our customer. So I wouldn't know what life would be without Speakap.
Great. So final slide now, just looking at some of the key takeaways. So obviously quite a lot of information to take in. So hopefully you've seen, I've proven our belief that there is an absolute clear correlation between employee productivity and customer experience. Yeah, the two go hand in hand, and I think Rituals is a shining star for that in terms of, again, how to deliver that amazing customer experience. Again, as Penny said, again, you don't win in the marketplace, you win in the workplace, and that's where it sort of starts. From an employer perspective, society's changing. Yeah, with that societal change in terms of social media and how people access information, how people communicate, you need to mirror this in the workplace. So you need to mirror that digital social experience that employees are bringing to work. Because if you don't, as we hear all the time, people will employ shadow tech, you'll end up with closed Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups that you can't manage and control, and it could lead to all sorts of challenges. Not at the worst through some GDPR, impact. Culture really, really matters. And again, that for me, 48% of employees are willing to work a 60-hour week in exchange for a better culture. So that's huge. Again, average working week in the UK, 39 hours. So 48% of employees would be happy to work 40% longer in a week in exchange for a better culture. So people don't just come to work to get paid. They come to be part of something which is bigger than them, something that they can feel part of, and it's critical that you deliver that. And finally, technology is an enabler for great communications. And if you can get that communication piece right, you can see big shifts in productivity and then ultimately customer experience. So I hope that was of interest. We've now got about 20 minutes left, so happy to take any questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them the best that I can.
Thank you very much, Guy, for your presentation. Let's dive into the Q&A session then. We do have a few questions already in. So the first one picks up on the Ritual case study. So maybe can you explain again how exactly non-retail clients are using Speakap to improve employee productivity?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, we started as a solution which was in the supermarkets, but we now work with, again, a whole range of different organizations, non-retail for different reasons. So a few examples I'll give. we.CONECT, which is a huge German logistics and warehousing business. We've got about 50,000 employees. Their challenge was they had thousands of people spread across Germany and the world, in different sheds. Very difficult to reach and engage. Again, they didn't have company email addresses. Their challenge is we actually created a new sign-up route for them, because we traditionally sign up employees through their personal email address or company email address if you've got them. Most organizations have that because it's how they send their pay slips, but actually we.CONECT still pay in some parts of Germany in a paper envelope with cash and a pay slip in. So they need an alternative route. So we created the non-digital sign-up, which was through a printed sign-up sheet with all of your details and credentials that you would then enter into a computer, a browser, to then sign up to the program. So again, their challenge was, we got all these people in all these different places. We have a nightmare communicating with them. The management cascade is the most traditional method, but it would depend on when people were in the warehouse or where they were on the road in their trucks. So they wanted a two-way digital channel that they could reach and engage with. So that's why they came to us. G4S across Benelux, again, their challenge was they've got thousands of security guards in different places, different shift patterns. And again, they didn't have any way that they could reliably, consistently, reach and engage with them. So again, they use Speakap to do exactly that. And again, because a lot of people don't have a company company computer or a company mobile phone, yeah, they're able to just download the app in the same way that they would, you know, downloading Facebook or WhatsApp. They download it through the Play Store. They're then entered into the platform through permission from the network administrator, and then they have a way of, of having that dialogue with people, getting their feedback, checking in through pulse surveys to see how they feel about things. Again, setting events so they can invite people or signpost events that are happening, saving relevant files on their version of Speakap. So again, they got the latest version of the file, be it holiday information, pay information, health and safety, whatever it is. And then the final I'll give is Real Life Options, who are UK-based clients. So again, they have about 2,000 employees spread all around the UK, providing social care. And again, their challenge is the majority of those people are, again, they're working remote. They don't have a company device. They don't have a company email. But they all have a personal phone, and they're all using WhatsApp groups or closed Facebook groups to communicate. And they wanted a better way of doing that. So they wanted it branded, they wanted it structured, and they wanted it private and secure so they could control it.
And maybe one question that follows up maybe quite nicely to something you already mentioned here, like, do you need an administrator or manager for all the information that runs through the app?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it depends on organization to organization, but at the start, when the network's launched, yes, you need to be producing content to attract people and to get them in there. So yes, you absolutely need a network administrator. That will tend to be, depending on the size of the organization, if it's a reasonable size organization, there'll be 1 or 2 people at head office, who tend to sit within internal comms or HR. So they will act as the network administrators. And then if you've got multiple locations, you'll then have some local administrators who can then manage things there. And that's both monitoring, but also pushing relevant information for that area. Those then become your gateway to the platform and pushing information through and responding to people, because that's really important. Because if you have people who post a question, if they don't get a response in a timely fashion, then they'll switch off. So you need to have people monitoring to make sure that things are getting answered and things are getting resolved. In exactly the same way, if you didn't have the tool, if someone asks a question to someone and they don't get a response, they'll soon stop going to that person. So it's exactly the same, but digital obviously speeds things up. And then what you find is the networks tend to gather their own momentum, and you go from it being majority of pushed content to actually majority user-generated content. And again, Ritual's a great example. When you look at their posts, there's things coming up every day from the stores around successes, or around a new way they found of doing a certain demonstration, or a new way they found of selling a certain product. So it becomes a community for people to share best practice. And alongside that, you're also getting information from head office, which is this new product's landing in store next week. Here's a 10-second video on how to what that product's about, what the key USPs are. People can then respond to that, they can add to it, so it becomes sort of a force of its own. So yes, you absolutely need some administrators to monitor it, but then again, once you have people engaged, we tend to find, because we've got a proven rollout method, we get about 80% adoption in month 1 and about 95% plus by month 3, because again, we work with each organization to ensure that they do the best job possible of launching a platform. And then once you've got people on board, there's then just an element of monitoring and checking. But again, the majority will then come from user generated.
Okay, and the next question is basically refers to the moment before this kind of momentum has been created. So if a company that has introduced this tool wants to actively increase adoption and usage, what can you recommend there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And yeah, we believe we've got one of the best tools in the market for delivering effective employee communications, but we're only a tool. We're only a gateway. So first of all, there needs to be a reason why the platform is launching. So that could come from your employee survey, where common piece of feedback is, there's a question around employee communications. Do you feel that you get regular communication? Do you know what's going on? And most people will say no. So it could be from a question like that, or it could be on the back of, so employee feedback, or there's a rebrand, company rebrand that's happening, or there's something going on that needs a new way of communicating. So find what that reason is. Another one could be, again, as most organizations that don't have a purpose-built solution in place, they'll find that they tend to have lots of WhatsApp groups at local level. So it could just be you're looking to provide a private and secure version of WhatsApp, so that you can liberate WhatsApp for employees to be something they can just use for their friends and family. So find that reason and launch on that. Then again, employ some gamification. So it could be around, again, for each location, there's a prize for who gets the highest adoption within a set period. Then you could do some fun around posting where there's a prize for the post that gets the most likes or comments, and so on. So again, find ways to engage with people. But again, the start point is think about the content you're putting on there. So if you're used to sending out 2-page newsletters, once a week, don't put a 2-page newsletter on there, because people won't read it. So it needs to go back to that slide around mobile. So it needs to be in a mobile context, but it also needs to be bite-sized content. So make sure, and all of this, it just takes a different mindset. So it's not about creating more work, it's creating less work. So it's an editing job. And again, we work a lot with clients, again, at that pre-launch and post-launch stage to ensure that they get it right. So we'll work with them around the data and what's happening with the platform, and how to drive that higher engagement.
Good, thank you. Then let me read out the next question. Can you set the do not disturb feature to an individual employee's shift pattern?
Yeah, it's a great question. So at the moment, we're bringing that in place for the US. So in the US, there's the FLSA regulations where you could be fined if you post to an employee when they receive a message, even if they don't read it, but if you just receive it when they're off shift. And I know there's similar regulation coming in or being talked about in France as well. So yeah, at the moment, it's down to the employee to switch it on and off as they wish, and they can set that to shift patterns. But coming very shortly to address the FLSA issue in the US, we'll be able to then set that linked to it could be linked to your workforce management. So again, we'll be able to see from the workforce management tool when someone's on shift and when they're off shift, and then it will adjust their do not disturb settings accordingly so that we're then fully compliant.
Great, and then we have another question, which is maybe quite nice to round things off. Is how sort of compared to other digital communication solution providers on the market, what sets the Speakap apart?
It's a great question.
How is it different, maybe?
Yeah, so there's a lot of solutions out there, all doing different things in different ways, shapes, and forms. As I said, Speakap, we're fully 100% focused on the Speakap platform. So this is all we do. And within that, we spend a lot of time talking to our existing clients, giving their feedback in terms of what they need, and also then monitoring the trends in the market and regulation. So solution. So within that, you get the branded app, you get the branded platform. Well, if someone's got their speaker off, so there's some heavy breathing. And so, yeah, within that, thank you. Within that, you've got, the opportunity, like with Ritual, to deliver a branded experience for your employees. And it seems small, but actually it's huge, because if you have an employee who isn't that engaged, they don't feel that close to the company, and you give them a third-party app that they're expected to put onto their phone, that can be a bit of a push at times. So you deliver a branded version, it feels more professional, feels more inclusive, and it's very powerful. So one is a branded app. Two is the enterprise structure. So like with the rituals example, where we're able to mirror the organization's hierarchy, so we can put people into the relevant location or business unit, and then the relevant team or business unit, and then align that to groups. So we can split the organization out 3 ways, which means we can place employees into the relevant part of the network, so that's what they see. So it becomes really relevant for the employee in terms of what they see, so not being overloaded. And it becomes really easy for the administrator who's sending out messaging, so they can get the right message to the right people.